All right. Hello. Microphone check. You mod me up. Oh, look, I got the chat working for both streams with the restream. Hell yeah. Let me turn on my camera here. What's going on, FM? Microphone checker. Oh wait, my stream deck isn't working because I completely reinstalled OBS, so I got to use my mouse, apparently. I forgot about that. All right. So we tested yesterday. We attempted to stream to both YouTube and Twitch using a Japanese VTuber OBS plugin. Apparently very popular in the Japanese community for VTubers. But unfortunately, my computer and my bitrate couldn't handle it because I was essentially sending streams out twice at once. So I was doubling the bitrate for my internet. So we figured out there's a service called Restream, and luckily it's for free. But I can only stream to 720p, which is fine because my internet, by the way, is not very good out here. But so we are streaming to both YouTube and Twitch, so welcome everybody. And I got both chats up on my side at least, so. We did some fishing yesterday, before our stream attempt. Let's get an upgrade. Yeah, we'll see. I will say the cool thing about YouTube is, from watching other streams, especially, larger streamers with Google Fiber or something, is that, you can stream in like 1440p and stuff like that. Crazy bit rates. So, yeah, we're actually getting pretty close. We're literally like 3 subs away on YouTube from 2,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool. We just had our new herring video go up yesterday, so if you haven't checked that out, we have a link in the Discord. I do need to set up Nightbot and stuff like that, but so I need to figure that out. Oh yeah, those fishing streams are going to be crisp, that's for sure. All right, anyways, we were tying a bucktail deceiver last night. No lag or anything? Good, I'm glad. So the way we're doing this right now is we're sending the OBS broadcast to Restream, and Restream is using their services in a server in New York, which I tested. It has like 20 megabyte upload, which is pretty good. So it was cool. I was able to test and pick which server on Restream. But then Restream is taking that and now broadcasting it to my Twitch and my YouTube at the same time. So my PC doesn't have the load on it. Anyways, let's do some fishing, shall we? Now I need to figure out how to get both chats on the stream at once. I got to look into the Twitch terms of service as well. I need to be careful. I can't try and direct people from one platform or the other, I think. I have to be careful. I have to look into the terms of service. Oh, we also need to, I wonder if BTTV is enabled on our YouTube. That's right. I have to go through and do all the Nightbots and figure all that stuff out. All right. So we're tying a bucktail deceiver is what we were doing last night. We're going to pick up where we left off because we're tying some flies for our personal fly box. Turns out, by the way, as well, my buddy hit me up. He goes, yo, aren't you starting the new game today on Saturday? I was like, are we? Because I was running a Wrath and Glory tabletop role-playing game every Saturday on Discord. But now we're doing one in person at my buddy's house. So he's like, yeah, aren't we meeting up today? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. I thought we were looking for people to play still. But it turns out we have some people. So later on today, I'm going to go and we're going to sit down and do like a session 0. I have an idea of the world and the setting, but I kind of want to talk to the players and see what sort of campaign they want to play. But good thing is I can run all that stuff on the fly. It's kind of my GM style. Yep. Gotcha. Yeah. Like, for instance, I remember talking, like, or seeing, like, you gotta be careful. I gotta look in terms of service to see if I can put both chats on the screen. I know Djibouti Show does it, but I need to see how I do it. Because, you know, there's certain terms of service we have to abide by. Twitch is pretty particular about a lot of stuff. At least they're letting us do it, so. It's great to be streaming on YouTube finally. Share some of this live fly tying content with you folks. Alright. So we kind of built up our bucktail there. You can see we're going for kind of just a classic traditional, let me move my mic here. A classic traditional bucktail deceiver. I think we are going to start adding some colors. Now I do generally like to tie them mostly white and then add some color near the end. Because I'm a big fan of all white flies in particular. They usually work pretty good. By the way, I forgot to mention, thank you Bujika for the resub, man. Appreciate that. How many months is that? 46 months with the tier 1 sub. Let's go. Let's get it up. Let's get a cheer going in the chat. That's right. I forgot. I still have a soundboard. My stream deck needs to be reprogrammed for the OBS, but at least I got my soundboard going. All right. What color do we want to go with? Chat, this is a good time to input your own opinions. What colors do you think we should go with? Should we go with the herring sort of coloration that I usually go with the blues and the pinks and the purples, the yellows? Should we go with the chartreuse, perhaps? Which we can incorporate pinks as well, but we could go with red and orange. Time to go pink and blue. Ah, okay. Yeah, the pink and blue, that's what I was thinking. But I figured I would ask you folks. How's it going, GD? I hope you're doing well. We got pink and blue. Tan and green. Sand eel sort of coloration. That's interesting. Tan and green, huh? Okay. I like it. Go ahead and type your opinions in the chat. Bujika, chartreuse. Yes, chartreuse is very good. I do like chartreuse. Doing good. Went back to check the range and field for deers. Very nice. Doing some scouting for deers. Okay, very cool. Trying to get some fly time material or something. All right. I think we can use most of those colors, believe it or not. But we got tan, green, some chartreuse, maybe some blue and pinks. I think we can mix all of those colors together, believe it or not. So we do have some chartreuse. We do have some blue. I do have some tan. Some pink we're going to need. And I'm just slowly kind of tapering that bucktail back. Oh, did we drop frames? What happened? We good? Little connection drop there for a sec. No worries. I think on YouTube it didn't drop there. That was strange. It was just Twitch. Alright. Let's go ahead and tie some white in the belly. Yeah, we're trying out some new stuff here, so bear with us. We still have the normal Optimum conundrums. The Optimum saga. We should do like a one Halloween, we should do the Optimum saga. Like a 5-part mini video series with custom music. Alright. We're going to go with a little bit of pink here. Now we need to find in what order do we tie the chartreuse, the blue, the pink, and the tan to make it blend together naturally. And I think we're going to go with tan and pink, then some chartreuse, and then some blue. Just a little bit of pink like that. Yeah, we're good, we're good. How's the quality look too, by the way? I did change some of the settings, so hopefully it looks pretty decent. Bump the bitrate back up. All right, we're going to go with some tan right now. Now, this isn't necessarily going to be a sand deal, Doc. This is a little bit of a larger profile, but if we did slim the amount of bucktail down and we kept the length and we tied with probably half the amount of bucktail or less, maybe even a third, we would probably end up with a nice sand deal. You can tie sand deal bucktail deceivers. I have tied tuna versions for the local fly shop. The owner goes fly fishing for tuna. Now we're going to tie a little bit of our tan. We get a nice little blend of colors there. And we could probably go with a little bit of chartreuse here. I think near the end, the last tie, we're going to actually mix the bucktail in our hands before we tie it on there. Tan and chartreuse, though. I like the color combination. So I'm just trying to even the amount of bucktail that I tied top and bottom, right? I don't want too much bucktail on the belly, and I don't want too much on top. So we can keep kind of like an even keel and even balance to the fly. All right. Now we can go ahead and tie some more white on the belly. Again, not tying too much. I am going to taper the material down in my hands here to be shorter this time. Shorter than the last collar. Kind of like that. It's pretty windy out there. Definitely wasn't going fly fishing today. It was blowing like 30, 40 gusts. All right. Might tie a little bit more on there. But at the moment, we'll tie some more pink on the cheeks, essentially. Well, we could always do the pink at the end. That's probably the best idea. Now, I think I am going to blend the material here, so we're going to cut some of this tan off, put that off to the side. We'll probably take a little bit of pink. This pink tail is just about done. There's some hair on there, probably good for, you know, Bob's Banners or something, but not really much left on that pink bucktail I have. I'll put that back. And I'll probably grab some other colors as well. We'll go with this nice blue bucktail that we have. Picked up another new boat. Oh, you got another boat. Very nice, Bujika. And you went over to Pyramid Lake for the maiden voyage last Saturday? Very cool. How did it go? You end up doing well? Remember to put drain plugs in? Alright, so we have some pink and some tan and some blue here. And we'll take some chartreuse. And we're going to blend it together in our hands so it kind of naturally comes together. Yeah, some big lake trout. So now we could take these colors and kind of blend them in our hand to where they kind of naturally blend together. And then we're going to essentially sort of stack it, kind of getting rid of the smaller hairs at the same time. See? So now we have a mix of 4 colors there, and it just adds like a much more natural look to it. But I don't want too much bucktail, so I am going to shorten it up slightly, or the amount. I am excited to do some fishing again. Yeah, we're gonna have to add some more white to the belly here. But I hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Put up some pictures in the Discord. Nice. Funny thing about that, my brother did not tighten it all the way, so we had a very slow leak, which we figured out when we got done. Yep. I know, that's what I'm saying. First time launching boat issues where you're not necessarily 100%, you know, tuned into this particular boat and all of its things. That's why I wasn't even joking. I was making sure. I know all about it when it comes to brand new boats. A little bit more white on the belly there to fill that in. We're looking good. We could probably add a tiny bit more to the top if we want. You can see this bucktail I tied on the bottom kind of got squished a little, so I'm opening it up. There we go. I kind of want that profile to be a little bit more even on the fly overall. I do like that though. I don't want to add too much bucktail. That's more than enough. So let's add some peacock curl to it. Yeah, it's very, I always love blending colors with bucktail. I always just tied them on one at a time, but after watching Kenny Abrams stuff. Now we could go like, it's gonna foul like crazy, but we could go on. We'll shorten it up a little bit more traditional length of peacock curl here. All right, we're looking good. Yo, Hayes, how's it going? Yeah, we're on early. I was trying to figure out, we got our multi-stream set up, so we're up on YouTube and Twitch. We were trying to do that last night. We were having issues, so I figured last night I worked on everything. I re-downloaded all my OBS stuff on my streaming computer. So unfortunately, I got to reset a bunch of stuff on here for my settings with OBS, but we'll tie a couple flies for the fly box. I do need to do a fair bit amount of commercial fly tying. I was doing some earlier. Working on a bunch of Bob's Bainers and Clousers at the moment. There we go, looking good. We got a nice bucktail deceiver. I do need to set up the swim tank somewhere efficiently, or somewhere a little bit easier. This was kind of like a test stream that we're doing, essentially. It seems like it's working pretty well. Hopefully anyone on YouTube watching it looks good for you folks. And the same for you folks on Twitch as well. But so far it seems like we're going strong. So we'll keep tying some flies. Now we have tied some larger stuff. Why don't we tie something a little bit smaller, because it is good to have different size flies. I should probably, I kind of want to use some squimpish material, honestly. We'll use a mix of natural and synthetic. That was our hit the other day, was on a squimpish fly. A squimpish Sadati slammer when we were streaming. Let me see, what sort of hooks? Do we still have our 3-odd big games? We do. Nice. These are like some of my favorite hooks. These Mustad big games. They did change them. I hope they do come out with some 3-odd versions soon, because at the moment they only go up to 2-odd. Little fun fact, using these hooks to tie deceivers for saltwaterflies.com over the years, and some customers took the 3-odd deceivers over to do some GT fishing and got some pretty large GTs, you know, like 30, 40 pounds, which is, these hooks are some of my favorite hooks. I don't know if I'd tuna fish with them, but apparently you could GT fish with them. I don't know if they're still the same. They did change the thickness and the makeup of the hook. So, but this particular version, the C70 SD, is always going to be, I think, one of my favorite hooks of all times. And now they changed them. We'll see if it'll be for the better, though, or for the worst. I guess we'll find out over time. Okay, we're going to tie a nice little streamer here, probably about 4.5 inches, maybe 4 inches, with some natural and synthetic material. Kind of inspired by David Nelson. Let's see if we can make something work here. I think we're going to use some ostrich herl for the tail, which I do have some ostrich herl here. Let's go ahead and change up the sawn here. I put it pretty low just so I don't like having it music too loud while we're fly tying, but I do like having just something in the background. So let me mix it up. Yeah, some nice ostrich herl like that. That looks good. I hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I hope you're having a great start to your weekend, or mid-weekend. I think we are going to add some more of this, but I think I'm going to tie some individually around the hook now. I'm also not going too far forward with it, so I leave myself room to do some cool hollow ties and stuff like that. Not have too much thread in the way, you know. It only takes a wrap or two as well, just to secure it. Yeah, I'm happy. It looks like the herring video is doing pretty good. It's got a good amount of views. I actually spent quite a lot of time normalizing the entire audio for the video, which is something that I've never done, but I've finally learned about audio level like standards for YouTube and headroom and LUFs and all this. It was pretty funny. I had to sit down and like took like an extra hour editing the video, but the audio on that video should be normalized, meaning it's like doesn't sound too low or something like that. So that was interesting, learning that process. Drink a little coffee. My mom got this on a trip to Africa, this Kenya mug. This Intensio. Whew. Good caffeine. Seems to be working. Getting fancy with the dual stream. That's right. Well, Twitch changed up their policies, and you know, a lot of folks that watch my YouTube are very interested in fly tying, obviously. So I'm happy to be able to share some live fly tying now with the folks on YouTube. Which, by the way, how's everyone doing on YouTube? Unfortunately, you guys can't talk to each other at the moment. I don't think you ever can, but perhaps I gotta get it to set up where the chat's on the screen. I'm gonna look into the policies on that on Twitch, but I'm pretty sure we can do it. So you folks can actually talk to each other, or at least see each other. Sometimes I tie a bit too big flies for the 6-footer. Gotcha. I haven't bought any flies ever. I don't have a reference. Yeah, I was wondering how big of a fly is optimal for a 6-weight rod and line, Hayes asks. And this is a good chance for you folks in YouTube and chat on Twitch to put your input. A 6-weight, gotcha. Yeah, with a 6-weight, theoretically, you can throw a fly like this. And particularly with the right line, right? But you may struggle. This is kind of the upper echelon. With a 6-weight, you should be able to throw something like kind of a streamer like we're tying right now, but just on about a size or two smaller hook, no problem. You know, again, having the right line is sometimes almost more important than having the right rod, in my opinion. Like having a good head and a good line, particularly for the type of fishing that you're doing, right? If you're trying to fish streamers and stuff, the shooting head in saltwater versus freshwater is going to be completely different. But you should be able to throw a 3-4 inch streamer that is tied relatively well, meaning it's not too bulky, not too wind resistant, no problem on a 6-weight. Because I fish 5 weights for striped bass. You know what I mean? And I've thrown flies like this just pretty much on a slightly smaller hook. You know, flat wings and stuff like that. You should have no problem fishing a size 1-aught or 2-aught 3 to 4 inch streamer on a 6-weight, particularly with the right line. So, all right. So we have some Ostraturl on here. We'll go ahead and add some Crystal Flash. But that's a great question. That's a great question, Hayes, by the way. Now again, tell that to Mark Sadati, and Mark Sadati can cast a 12-inch fly on a 5-weight, 120 feet. But that's partially due to him being an amazing fly caster and also him tying his flies in a way that allows him to do that. So there are exceptions. You know what I mean? But just as an overall rule for, you know, somebody like me with intermediate fly casting skills, even after 20 years, I'm not like a professional fly caster. You know, we should have no problem, even with some wind, getting a 50, 60 foot cast with a 3 to 4 inch fly on a 1 or 2-aught hook on a 6-weight. The funny thing is, if somebody just heard what I said that doesn't fish or anything, I just said a bunch of numbers and terms in a row, and it just sounded really funny in my mind because I was picturing somebody that doesn't fly fish or fly tie listening to that. Oh, by the way, I should probably adjust my audio, huh? I just realized my audio was probably way too loud. I was probably peaking left and right. This should probably be better. I turned it down. Let me know. Is this better? Mic check, mic check. I always forgot about that. We just reinstalled everything, so the audio inputs and everything are different. I apologize. Hopefully it wasn't peaking too bad. I just knocked it down minus 0.4 dB. Hopefully that's a little better. Because I end up being pretty dynamic. It was perfect? Okay, then I'll just leave it the way it was. I end up being pretty dynamic in my vocals. In terms of the range of my voice. All right, good. And then I'm not touching nothing. I'll leave it. All right, let's get back to some fly time. So, we are going to be using some squimpish hair, but I do want to use natural materials as well. So I think we do a couple hollow ties and bucktail is what I'm thinking. Perhaps maybe even adding some Ostraturl in between, or maybe marabou or something. Little bits of palmered marabou. And then we do some squimpish ties up in the front. And we have a kind of... Oh, I thought I was going to burp there for a second. Excuse me. We have a nice profile on this fly, so... By the way, I realized on my micro candy surf video the other day... I must have completely missed one part, but you can I just burp straight up into the mic while I'm fly it's in the video. Because I must have got lazy at one point, which is editing via the sound waves. Because editing my fly time videos is so much easier compared to any other things I do. Like, for instance, my Mike Rolls Dice channel. But I was laughing so hard, it was just me burping right there. I was like, oh, well, left that in. Alright. ASMR fly tying streams, yep. Do some fly time videos where I don't talk at all and I'm just cracking open Guinness cans and burping in the mic while cutting the bucktail. This is pure art. Oh God, yeah, no, thank you. I'm not even gonna read that out loud for the YouTube folks. That's some Twitch stuff right there. Licking microphones. It's probably the good thing about watching on YouTube. You're not subjected to the crazy shit that Twitch recommends you on the homepage. Oh, you're a guy and you're in your 30s? Here, you want to see some really weird stuff? Nope, no thanks. I was looking for Daisy content, but thank you. That's fine. Gotta love Twitch. Alright, let's add... We're doing some hollow ties. I like to keep them nice and sparse with my hollow ties. By the way, this isn't even really nice bucktail. It's decent bucktail. Actually, very decent. I got from saltwaterflies.com, but it's not specifically like hollow quality, so... It is a little stiff and whatnot, but you can always make it work. And I'm not tying a lot of bucktail. It's pretty sparse, so we're going to use our thread dam technique, the thread wall, essentially. And I don't know if I'm the only one that does this. I like putting a little bit of super glue on the threads because over time I've found, I mean, it helps throw in some whip finishes, I'm sure, but over time when your flies get beat up, sometimes the thread will slip. So I don't know if I'm not, something I've truly never mastered with hollow ties yet. You know what, I am going to pull that back just a little bit because I don't want that bucktail to be, suppressed too much. And what we're doing is we're building a wall of thread in front of the bucktail to help push it back because it's essentially under spring tension, right? With tied forward like that. And you can see we have a nice profile now with that hollow tie. I'm gonna just, what do we do? Here we go. I'm gonna take a little bit, just put that on there, on that thread. Making sure we don't get any on the bucktail. It's the important thing. We can just wrap that over. I usually take my finger and dry it off. I have recently made sure that I'm getting less super glue on my fingers because I read about super glue, the cyanide poisoning or whatever that you get over time from getting, what do you call it? Not cyanide, but whatever the ingredient is in it. I forgot the name. It's something with a C, I think. Essentially just too much exposure to super glue, and I constantly was just getting over my fingers so much over the years. I was like, I should probably try and scale back the amount of super glue that is getting into my body. Because you're working with it every day. I mean, it's just, my fingers are covered in this stuff. Alright, so we're going to do another hollow tie slightly forward. I am tempted, do we do like a little marabou wrap in between? I kind of want to. Here we go. I have this marabou that I palmered on one side. Let's just go ahead and do one small wrap with it. Add a little something in between. You can also add angel hair and stuff like that in between. It's probably some people watching like, what are you doing to the hollow fly? I'm doing what I want. It's fly time. We're allowed to. It's funny. Sometimes people forget in fly tying that we're not bound by strict rules. You are allowed to experiment and have fun. Not everything has to be a photo shoot. And I think this fly is probably going to look really nice by the time we're done. And just a little bit of marabou palmered in front of that hollow tie. And that hollow tie is going to be breathing. That marabou is just going to be going nuts. I'm sitting here gluing my fingers together, rod building models all the time. Yeah, exactly. Listen, I know it. I still do it. Everything I do uses super glue. Miniatures, fly tying, the two main things I do. Terrain crafting, all of it uses super glue, and other terrible things as well, to name a few. All right, let's do some more hollow ties. For anyone watching on YouTube, I know the folks here on Twitch are chatting it up. How's the stream look? Does everything look good over there? How's our quality? You getting a nice bucktail deceiver demonstration at the moment? Or hollow fly, I should say. So have you been doing a fair amount of fly fishing, Hayes? I know you were doing a lot more spin fishing and whatnot. Fingers have to soak up a bottle of super glue and a ton of turpentine in the past month. Yeah, I used to be a mechanic. We would use mineral spirits in the parts washer, and all sorts of stuff. I mean, I was getting gear oil. I was getting coolant in my eyes and stuff. I'm certainly happy I don't need to deal with that anymore. And then we were selling, which I was never a fan of, those stupid fuel injection cleaning kits where you run this cyanide like gas, it smells like it at least, through the injection system in it. You got to hook up an exhaust tube, and you'd get lazy employees that didn't want to bring the car outside, and we were all like ingesting like like the most dangerous fumes. Guy sitting there eating a sandwich like, dude, take the car outside. What are you doing? We're dying in here. Yeah, everything wants to kill you nowadays, unfortunately, so be careful out there. Wear some sort of respirator when you're working with chemicals. Or at least the really dangerous stuff, that's for sure. Like I have a 3D printer that uses resin, UV resin. Not too dissimilar from what we use for fly tying. And I use a full respirator, like a really nice respirator. Wear glasses, and I have it in an enclosed system with a ventilator, so I don't have any of those fumes getting in the house or anything. I take that stuff pretty seriously. I don't want any respiratory issues. New job, we only deal with trailers and yards. Yard goats? Okay, gotcha. Nice. Yeah, you know the deal, Bajika. You were a mechanic, right? If I'm not wrong. We got enough room here for some squimpish hair. After these two hollow ties. Just building up the thread here. You can see we got a nice profile. I could open it up a little bit, in fact, because we are putting that squimpish in front. So you can see the less thread I take off, the more it opens up, and that changes our profile. And that's the beauty of the hollow flies. I'm still more into spin on the coast, but I do the local, so the pond and the lakes with some fly fishing. Nice. You still need better quality line, though, for the coastal stuff. Yeah. I'll recommend a line. I don't know if you can get it over here, but over there, Rio. Just get a Rio coastal outbound. That's what I would get. Oh, it's all good. I read it enough. Yeah, too cheap to get it. I know. I was looking at the fly shop yesterday. Like, I should really get a new fly reel. My fly reel is completely destroyed. And then I was like, nope, I got too many bills to pay. We'll put that off. The fly reel still technically does work, so yeah, we'll just use it. But I got the fishing bug again. I've been really wanting to go fishing. So I've already went striped bass fishing more this year in a week than I did last year. Commercial shell fishing all year. So at least so far I've done that. All right. So now we're going to take some squimpish. All right. So this is going to be like this in the water. I want to take some squimpish and tie it on there. I don't think I'm going to do a hollow tie. I mean, I could. Well, you know what? I think I'm just going to tie it right on top, and this bucktail is going to push it up, essentially, is the idea. That's how it's working. So I kind of do want that bucktail splayed out a little bit. At the same time, I wouldn't mind. Well, I gotta leave myself some room. I don't want to get too ambitious. I was gonna put some marabou on there. All right, I have a nice selection of squimpish hair here that we're gonna use. That they were kind enough to send me because we're on their quote-unquote pro staff. We don't get any money out of it or anything. I'm just a big fan of squimpish flies and their material, and David Nelson is a hell of a fly tyer and an awesome guy. If you ever meet him at a fly show, you should go, or see squimpish flies, you should go talk to him and see his fly tying. He'll sit there forever and talk to you. He's so passionate about fly tying and fly fishing. Started at 31 an hour. Oh, nice. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad to hear that. So I know you were talking about you wanted to get a different setup going on with your job, so I'm glad to hear it's working out. Hell yeah, dude. Oh yeah, it's 120, yep. Yeah, I know. Or an airflow sniper striper, or sniper striper albacore line. Yeah, that might not be bad. Might not be bad. You know, over the years I've used airflows, but recently, I don't know, every airflow I get, it just hasn't resonated with me. You know what I mean? I just don't seem to, they don't jive well with my fly casting. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know what I mean? It's kind of weird, but it does, you know, certain lines and stuff need to work with rods, and I think it's funny. Some of my friends use certain lines and they love them, and me, I try them. I'm like, dude, I'm not digging this at all. To be honest with you. So I think it definitely has somewhat to do with personal preference as well. So we got a little white, and there's just naturally some orange mixed in there, which I really like. You like scientific anglers? Yeah, I've had some really nice scientific angler lines. Back in the 90s, there was the Scientific Angler Striper Streamer line, which was a intermediate with a sink tip head. And it had a photo of like striped bass chasing a fly on the cover, and it was like an art, it was all hand-drawn art. I always loved those like late 90s, early 2000s scientific angler fly line boxes and everything from reading, you know, like Cabela's magazines and seeing that stuff growing up as a kid. It was great. But I think finally that line got destroyed after the years. But it was such a good line. And I gotta watch my language. The sink tip on it was so fast sinking that even in the inlets and stuff around here, I was able to get that fly almost on the bottom half the time. It was the fastest sinking line I've ever had, and it was just a sink tip on an intermediate line. But it was crazy. It felt like you were throwing a dumbbell at times, but it casted really well. But the amount of grain on that shooting head was wild. When you were throwing it with the wind, it would go flying like whoosh, like easily 100 foot or whatever the line length was. It had a really long running line, if I'm not wrong. There were some memories right there. All right, what colors are we going to go with? I'm digging a little this gray color. Maybe some of the orange. I mean, we have some really nice purples, though. We could go with, like, the purple. Yeah, we got it. The purple, the blues. But I do want to put some of this orange in the throat or something like that. Maybe in the white for the belly. we're going to put all that orange mixed in because there's something about this color. I had a friend that loved tying chartreuse flies with orange, Clousers in particular. Called it the clown fly. Rio Premier Outbound short slick cast is the only one I can get here. The Scientific Angler line is the same price. Yeah, they're all probably a lot. Run the Rock Chucker line. You know, there are some good alternatives. I know Jin, our mod, he uses, I forgot what the name of this line company is, but he does use this one line, and he rants and raves about it and that it's cheaper. So next time he's in here, we'll have to ask him what line company he uses. Maybe it'll be a good alternative for you. Then again, where you are, Hayes, which is, you know, the import fees and all that, it might be very expensive, so I don't know. You'll have to see. Hey, Joe F., how's it going? It's good to see you. Nice to have you back. Hoping you start putting up the tying vids again. Hell yeah, Joe. We just put out 2 new fly tying videos this week. So I'm aiming to do at least 1 fly tying video a week on YouTube. We just did a micro surf candy, which someone requested not too long ago, so I figured that would be fun to get back in the groove of editing. And then yesterday we just released the herring flatwing video, so I'm trying to make it my goal every week to put out at least 1 YouTube video a week of some fly tying. But thank you for tuning into the live stream on YouTube, man. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a good weekend. We're tying some flies for my fly box because I'm kind of lacking in flies at the moment. But yes, I plan on doing quite a lot more fly tying, so. Still haven't fully figured out whether I want to hollow tie some of this squimpish hair or not, but I'm just tying some of it regular right now. We may end up doing a hollow tie though. Oh, you do have Cortland over there, Hayes? Yeah, Cortland's a great brand, one of the fly guides I tie for. Sometimes Paul Dixon, he's a fantastic fly guide out here. He's a huge fan of Cortland. I have used some Cortland lines. I think I have a Cortland big. It's like a pike line. It was like an 8-weight big fly line, and I used that for years with saltwater. It was a great line. I caught a bunch of striped bass throwing Bob's Banners and big poppers with it out here. Only downside to fly tying streams, I am covered in fly tie. You gotta watch out. This is where I should be using my very nice Yeti that I use commercial fishing and shell fishing, because I forget the marabou and the squimpish stuff gets all over the place. All right, not any more so as like normal, but you know, normal stuff. Not as bad as rabbit fur, I'll tell you. That is the worst offender in my opinion, rabbit fur. The amount of little hairs that get everywhere. Alright, what colors are we going with on top? We're going to be going some of this light blue first. It's funny, as I'm asking how things look, we drop frames. Just give it a sec, you got to refresh. Alright, we're back. Apologize. I love that. As everything's good, as I ask, oh, how's the thing look? How's the stream looking over there? We drop frames. That does happen from time to time here. Classic Optimum. Let's get the laugh track real quick. Hold on, let me say it again. Classic Optimum. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Congratulations, you received 100 messages today with the Restream chat. Would you like to tweet this? No, I don't. But thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know, Restream. We are casting out in 25 to 30 mile per hour winds in your face. Yeah, yesterday it was just about 30 mile per hour gusts we were fishing in. It was pretty fun. Luckily, I had that at my back, so. All right, we're going to change the songs. These are all beats that I made in Studio One. Just something to kind of listen to while we're doing some fly tying. All right, so we have some nice blues on here. Do we have any dark? You know, I do have some olive. I can add some olive as well. Kind of just like we did with that bucktail deceiver. Let's blend some colors together so that they're kind of more naturally mixed together. Yeah, there isn't much space behind you, but that's sometimes why it may only take 1 or 2 false casts to really get a good cast out there, even with rocks behind you. We deal with the same sort of stuff when it comes to fishing on really steep beaches. And the other thing is when we're fishing up on the North Shore here and there's a lot of rocky coastal area, there's giant boulders, and a lot of times you really don't have much room, maybe 10, 15 feet. So you kind of have to pick it up, do a couple quick you know, maybe 1 back cast or 2, and then just kind of get it out there a good 50, 60 feet using the shooting head to get your distance, you know what I mean? Because you can't really sit there and... I try not to do many false casts in general because it's not very efficient to false cast too much, but so it is a struggle when you don't have a lot of room behind you, right? But that's where coming in, you know, when you're fishing, trying to find places that you need to try and find how to effectively fish closer, you know what I mean? Because when I first started fly fishing for striped bass, in the mindset of a surf fisherman who throws plugs and stuff like that when I was growing up as a kid, a lot of times I would try and get the fly as far out as possible, when it turns out, especially looking at drone footage from people like my buddy South Fork Salt here on Long Island, you should check him out on Instagram, the fish are in the wash. They're only 30, 40 feet right in front of you. So a lot of times I would end up catching fish real close to me. I wouldn't catch them out in the breaks and out in the waves like, you know, 70, 80 feet out, and I'm struggling to get that fly out there because I'm dealing with the waves, I'm dealing with the wind, I have the dunes behind me, and I'm, you know, hitting the dunes and all this. So a lot of times I would just focus on the water in front of me, 30, 40 feet, and I would just try to fish it effectively. I would swing it with the tide, I would do this and that, I would strip it, do pauses. So you need to like learn how to read the structure, read the water, look for depth change, look for rips, rocks where there's breaks set up that the fish might sit behind. You know, you need to learn. That's part of the struggle. It's a lot harder to search for fish compared to with a spinning rod in saltwater, where you can throw a popper and you can work a beach in 30 minutes and just do 150-yard casts and just work this popper and work down this entire beach. We don't have that, you know, ease of, you know, fishing and fly fishing. We have to be a little bit more, we have to focus on, you know, where the fish are going to be, particularly like in surf fishing, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but it turns out a lot of times the fish are right at your feet anyway, particularly striped bass, and I'm sure it works the same for sea trout and stuff like that for you out there. It's funny, I was just talking about this with the guy that I've been steamering with recently, who does a lot of surf fishing, and I'm like, you don't need to cast, and we were talking about it, he goes, you see people that come up, they're casting 300 yards with spinning rods, you know, with plugs and stuff on the beach, but it turns out a lot of times the fish are right in the rips, right in the wash at your feet, so you end up wasting a lot of time, you know, getting that plug super far out, or that fly, when it turns out if you fished the hole that was right in front of you that you might not see, the hole that where the water drains and it comes right into this hole, and the bass kind of chill in this hole and they swim around the wash waiting for, you know, maybe some sand fleas and sand eels to get ripped in there with the current. So it's a whole game. It's an art form. Just like regular fishing, the same is applied to surf fishing and things like that. Learning how to read the water and be effective with all that, but it all goes together. But definitely having the right line helps, you know. I was using some crappy floating line yesterday that's really old, and we're trying to throw a big pole dancer type fly, and it was just a struggle. Because having the right line definitely makes a difference for what you're doing. I kind of went for a wounded bait fish look over here. Now, do I have some alpaca to finish it off? I mean, this is going to push some water right here, for sure. Have you ever tied or fished sand fleas? I've been meaning to tie some up. I've been meaning to tie some up here, Sorry, I can't even talk, for the OBX. I was thinking in my head, what is the best sand fly pattern? Unfortunately, I don't think I have this one book anymore. Let me take a look. Do I have it? I have somewhere. I gotta take a look. I had a Alan Calejo, I believe his name, or Alan Calejo, I believe his name. He did a lot of sight fishing, fly fishing books. I have one book all about sight fishing. I think a friend of mine borrowed it. And I never got it back. But essentially, if you want to tie a sand flea fly, there's multiple ways you can do it. You can do like a modified merkin, right? Essentially, where you kind of trim the material on the top to have a little bit more of a rounded shape. You use orange for the belly. You can do some sort of clouser style sort of fly with some, ram's wool or something. You can trim deer hair for the body on the top, with the hook upside down and the essentially dumbbell eyes. There's so many different ways you can do it. I don't have a specific pattern, and I haven't done any sand flea fishing in a while, but during the summer here, they do eat a lot of sand fleas. And speaking of South Fork Salt again on Instagram, my buddy Tim, he's got some great videos and footage of him catching striped bass rolling like sand flea flies in the surf. So it relates to what we're that surf fishing. What I would do is I would take probably like a size 2 hook, or maybe a size 1. I'd put dumbbell eyes on it, like Clouser minnow style. And then what I would do is I would either take some sort of synthetic material, or like I said, maybe some deer hair. And what I'd do is I would probably just make a basic body with some, you don't really need, for instance, a bunch of legs, but you could tie some rubber legs off the back, or maybe some hackle, because you don't really need claws. They're kind of just a round nub, right? And I would make sure I have bright orange on the belly. And on top, I would just have I would either V-tie, or I would spin some deer hair, some tan deer hair, and then I would trim it to get a nice sort of sand flea dome shape. When the hook's turned upside down, and on the belly, it would have a bunch of orange, probably either some sort of like trimmed up marabou tied on there, whatever orange I have, or anything, some sort of EP fiber or something like that. So I don't have a specific pattern, but maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we should kind of do a sand flea fly video for YouTube, because that is going to be relevant here in a month or two. But yeah, I don't have any specific patterns. Either modified merkin or something like that, or some sort of deer hair fly is what I'd do. But that's a good idea. Maybe here, I have a list of fly patterns that I plan on making videos on here at some point. So we have bucktail hollow fly. I have squimpish bass fly, which we're probably going to do some sort of largemouth bass style Squimpish fly, almost like a 3D fly style Popovix, where it's like maybe like a fire tiger or something. Craggerol actually did something recently that was like that. Looked really good on the Discord. Flex Candy. I just bought Flex resin recently. We're going to do a Flex Candy video for YouTube. And then we'll do, let me write this down, Sandfly. Or Sandflea. Yeah. Let me, I actually have his new book, so let's take a look. I also have innovative striper flies. I have innovative saltwater patterns, some different books from over the years that I have that probably have some good... Oh, by the way, it's funny. It's you look in the back of this book, if I can freaking flip the page back. So who do we got in this book? There's a lot of amazing fly tires, but on this one page alone, there's some fucking legends. You got right here, Paul Dixon, one of the greatest fly guides in Montauk, who I actually tie Albie flies for. And we're working on getting stuff going for this fly shop for him. We have David Nelson, the owner of Squimpish Flies. This was before he started Squimpish Flies, I believe. And awesome dude, amazing fly fisherman. And that's the creator of the material that we're just using. And then there's David Skoke, Blaine Chocolate. There's a lot of awesome people in here. Blaine, yeah. Let's see. Which, by the way, I have to show you the Squimpish Flies real quick, or his design, because it is just unbelievable. Johnny King, by the way, I forgot to mention Johnny King's is an absolute legend of fly fishing as well. Where the hell is David Nelson? He is absolutely one of my favorite fly tires. This book is, what is the exact name? It's Fly Design, F-L-E-Y-E. It's Bob Popovic's newer book. Fly Design by Bob Popovic. I have the Pop Flies book, which I've had since I was a kid. Here we go, Squimpish Flies. See, he did have the name Squimpish for his fly tying design. It's essentially, it's a mix of like steelhead, salmon flies or Atlantic salmon flies mixed with Kenny Abrams style flatwing tying and striped bass fishing, and that's David Nelson's style. That's what the Squimpish style is. It's one of my favorite fly designs in my opinion. Essentially just very heavily influenced off, let me see if I could show you here with the Rhea hackle and all that. Beautiful stuff. All right, real quick, I'm just looking for sand fleas though. Let's see what his sand flea pattern looks like from the legend Bob Popovic's. Is there not like an index or something we got going on here? I can see. Let's go to the back. Is there any sand fleas? Sand flea 216. Ah, here we go. Oh yeah, yep. This is pretty much the sort of thing that Alan Calejo would tie. You could see that fly right there. So it's going to be a mixture of like mallard or pheasant hackle and essentially just modified clouser minnows almost. So it just looks like it's literally just hackle. And what they do is they just palmer it. A little bit of flash mixed in as well, or maybe some, what do you call it? Some rubber legs. And it's just palmered hackle. You trim the bottom, and then you put a pheasant or a mallard flank on top, and that's literally all it is, Joe. So that's very simple. That's a great way to tie one. That's a fantastic way. I personally, what I would do is I would palmer it like that, and then you can always, you know, you could do that, or what you could do is you could V-tie synthetic material on top, like EP fiber, trim it, and then on the bottom you could be tying in some marabou or something for some color, whatever. So there you go. That's a simple sand flea from Bob Popovic. Yeah, this is a great book. Pick this up if you haven't. Pop Flies Design. This is a good one. Great book. It's only $50. I don't know if it still is, but I'm sure it's still in print because people probably buy this up left and right. But yeah, we'll see. I think I have my own sort of sand eel fly, or sand flea fly that, what do you call it? My own sort of pattern. But it's not like my fly, you know. Over the years, I've learned so many different flies. I just kind of put my own variations on them. I'm sure it's an amalgamation of like multiple people's flies. I just gotta look real quick. Last I seen 65-ish euros. Yeah, it might have gone up, but that seems about right. Well, actually, no, euros, it would be less compared to US dollars, wouldn't it? Because unless the price of euros have I don't know, who knows. Just go check it out. Pick it up if you don't have it, if you can. It's a great book. Bob Popovics, you can't go wrong. All right, we could just put some peacock curl on here, and I think we're done with this fly. Nothing too fancy, just some hollow ties with a little bit of squimpish on top. I do need to break out my dubbing brush table and try and put together some more squimpish dubbing brushes, homemade ones. I think they do sell those, if I'm not wrong. Because he sent me one once, and we tied some beautiful, beautiful bunker flies with it. It was some of my favorite bunker flies I've tied. It's with those dubbing brushes. Let me all right, let's get some more peacock curl on here. I am half tempted though to tie a popper, but I think I do have some. These are the sort of flies I like fishing early season. Just pretty simple, basic, more like searching flies. There is herring, there are bunker. They're probably larger than this fly, but I'm not throwing an 8, 9-inch, 10-inch fly all day early in the spring, so something like this works great. Similar colors, good action in the water, and particularly pushes a lot of water because the water is so dirty out here recently with all this wind and this rain we've been getting. When you have 50-mile-per-hour winds every other day, the water quality just goes to crap real quick. I tell you what, though, I'm happy with this restream stuff so far. It seems like everything's pretty good. So, all right, we got 2 flies tied up. We're looking good. I think it is time I make another cup of coffee, though. So, we could play our Albie highlight while I go stretch my legs real quick, grab a cup of coffee, and figure out what we're going to tie next. Should we tie a sand flea fly for Joe F on YouTube? I think we probably should, because now I'm actually a little intrigued about the sand flea and how I want to tie a sand flea. So why don't we do that when we come back? We'll tie a sand flea and perhaps one more fly, and then I need to get ready. We're going to be I'm going to be doing essentially a session 0 with some of my players for a tabletop game, but we still have some more fly tying to do, so don't go anywhere, all right? We're going to be fly tying for another hour or 2. Let's take a quick little break, though. Let's play our Albie highlight, courtesy of Jeff Lamontabro and Diego Sanchez, which I love just saying that. It's so good. All right, I'm going to make a cup of coffee. I'll be back, chat. We're going to be tying here in just a moment. Don't go nowhere. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Stay tight, alright? Yep, keep it tight. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Aiden. Knuckle buster. Are you good? Do you need me to do anything?
Yeah, I might need a ride. Yes.
Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna turn now.
I'm gonna try and get on the valve.
Yeah, get on the valve. Alright, you're doing good. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna move us away.
Is that a little one?
No, that's a nice one.
Oh, let's go!
Come here, hold next to your alley. Good job.
That's sick.
Alright. Nice.
Let's go! Woo! Albie slap!
Good job, dude.
Yee!
Looking down the barrel of a 12 gauge little tuning, bro. And the alley door too.
Oh my god, dude! What the fuck? Woohoo! Oh my god. Yep. Oh my god!
You gotta turn the boat so I can cast. Oh my god, dude! Alright, get back to catching it, Diego.
Frigates.
Howdy?
Frigates.
Frigate.
Whoa! Whoa! That's got to be bluefin or something. Look at.
Hell yeah, dude. To grab a fish like that, to grab a fly like that, a big deceiver. All right, we're back. All right, Joe, sounds good, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully we'll see you again. Yeah, you'll be able to watch this live stream. I'll make sure if you go up to my channel on YouTube, you can check out past live streams. There's an area it'll be listed there, so you could take a look, all right? But we'll probably end up doing a video for the sand flea at some point. But thanks for tuning in. And Brew, how's it going, brother? Brew saying hello, both on YouTube and Twitch. My man. The support is real. Give it up. Give it up for Brew. Let's change songs real quick. And Gabe, what's going on? Just got Pop's newer book a couple of days ago, and I'm loving the patterns. Nice. Yeah, we just checked it out. It's a beautiful book. I've had it for a bit now. When it came out, I picked it up. All right, Joe, sounds good. It's one of my favorite books. Pop Flies is still probably my favorite because it's the original. And I tell you what, we do need to tie a pop lip one of these days. I do have silicone. I might need to buy some new silicone. But my favorite fly of Bob Popovic's of all time is the pop lip. And some people think it's blasphemy because it has silicone and it's got a lip on there, but that is like my number one challenge is mastering the pop lip. That is my fly tying career. Is getting perfect pop lips every time. It's one of the hardest flies in my opinion to tie perfectly. Some people tie them great. Gunnar Brammer, I think, I always screw up saying his name. He's an amazing fly tyer. I'm sure you know who he is. If you don't, you should check him out. He has some great videos on him. He ties them really nicely. But I've struggled over years to get that perfect, for saltwater fishing, that perfect pop lip. Meanwhile, you could just probably fish with hollow flies and be fine, but I do love a good pop lip. All right. We're going to be tying some sand fleas, so let's try it out. Brand new cup of coffee. Very nice. Yeah, let me also write down, we got for future fly time videos, we got pop lips. We've done a silicone fly. But a lot of the videos I've done are like 5-6 years old and the lighting isn't good, so I kind of want to revisit some of the flies that I've tied here on the channel now that I'm shooting in 4K. If you haven't too, if you're checking out our videos on YouTube, you should always turn them up to 4K because they're now filmed and edited in 4K, which took me long enough to figure out how to do properly. Yeah, the pop lip, I tell you what, I've tied a couple really nice ones over the years, Gabe, and I've always done very well with them, particularly fishing the surf. But if you're fishing back bays and areas or in freshwater with ponds and lakes and channels with a sinking line, it's such a good fly. But not many people fish them because it's a very hard fly to tie consistently and good. All right, so we're gonna tie some sand fleas. I need to find some hooks. I need to go through and I have like just a pile of random stuff here. Let's see what we got. It does work, but it's a little big. Let me see if I have something a little smaller. Ooh, I do have some nice rubber legs for this. And some Astaz as well. I would rather use orange Astaz, but that totally works. Yeah, I gotta organize this. This stuff is a little all over the place, this box, but that's okay. Let's see. There are some different size hooks. I'm just seeing my options. Here we go. A size 1 shrimp. That might not be bad for this. I also have some size 2 big games. We could use those as well. this right here could be perfect for the throat as well. Okay. Let's try a size 1 shrimp hook to start. Now, I don't really use these shrimp hooks a lot. They are a little bit thinner on the thinner side compared to big games. But they do have a pretty nice hook shank design for when it comes to fishing this sort of fly turning upside down. The gap, again, I'm not necessarily certain about it, but I haven't fished with these enough to have a proper opinion on them, so let's try them. I have a good amount of these shrimp hooks that I've used over the years, but I kind of prefer to use these for streamers, believe it or not, because I like how the hook point kind of sticks down like that. But again, I don't use them very often, so let's try them out, and then we'll tie one on a big game. We'll try some different materials, check out some different sizes. I have these regular lead eyes here. You don't necessarily always want to use, what do you call it? White eyes, but I don't have any orange ones. So now I do have miniature paint. I could paint these eyes orange. And I'm almost kind of tempted to do that when we're done. But I might just leave it the way it is. We'll tie this back just a little bit. This hook is pretty light, so I think this size eyes will work pretty good. These are the cheap lead eyes that are painted, which work perfectly fine. A lot of times I use these right here, these real eyes or something, I think they're called. Actually, these might not be real eyes. These are the hairline dubbing 3D eyes, or dumbbell eyes, I think. Alright, so I do like the idea of having that marabou off the back. So if we can find some tan marabou. Oh, I do have tan schlappenhackle. Should we just tie some schlappenhackle off the back? Not necessarily like claws, but just for some movement. Let me take a look to see. I think I do have tan marabou. Yeah, I do. Let's use some tan marabou. We'll try and... That was a... I do like the look of it. Don't necessarily need much, to be honest with you. Now, I am going to be using EP fiber for the body. So I'm trying to figure out essentially how I want the belly to be nice and bright. Am I going to be tying... I believe I actually have orange. Oh man, that'll actually work really good now that I think of it. Do I have orange EP fiber? I think I do. If not, I do have ram's wool. I have rust. Do I have bright orange? Let me take a look. I'm almost certain I do. I might have used it all for shark flies, to be honest with you. Yeah, unfortunately, I think we used that orange EP over the years for shark flies, if I'm not wrong. Got some more EP fiber. Ooh, I got actually really nice rubber legs. We got some Astaz. Alright. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that orange EP, I used it for tying an order of custom tarpon flies for this guy down in Costa Rica years ago. I had some orange EP fiber. Alright, let's get to it. Enough diddle-daddling, or whatever that term is. Jibber-jabbering. Let's tie some marabou off the back here. I am kind of tempted to palmer a little marabou as well. Do we palmer some marabou at the end of it? You know what? I think we do. I think we do palmer some marabou, because that'll help just fill up the back side of the fly. You know what? I am tempted to do some cool shrimp thing here. Screw it. Let's do it. I'm gonna wrap up the hook shank a little bit. I don't normally do that, but just for fun. In that shrimp style, you know what I mean? It is a shrimp hook, so when in Rome. You figure in the surf, this thing is going to be getting battered left and right. So a lot of times when it's sitting there, just kind of getting tossed around in the surf, all this marabou is just going to be swimming around like crazy. And what we can do is we can always kind of trim it if need be or something. And you figure a sand flea is probably, I've gotten some big ones before. I don't know if you've ever dug up sand fleas on the beaches here on the East Coast, and I'm sure they're on the West Coast as well. But there are some fairly large ones. This might be a little large. We can always kind of, by hand, just sort of trim that down a little bit like that. You don't always have to be the exact same size, you know. Sometimes it's okay to be a little bit larger. Maybe get that fish's attention. But it's probably a good idea with this sort of fishing, if you're going to be fishing sand fleas, crabs, and shrimp, to actually have some different sizes. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's better to go larger than the, you know, than what the bait is. Sometimes it's better to match the hatch more, if you will, that classic term. So it's always good to have some different sizes, maybe some different colors with slight variations and whatnot. I've also read a lot, particularly when it comes to this sort of striper fishing, putting some nail polish, some like tan nail polish on the hook itself, on any shiny parts and whatnot, and dulling it down can have a big impact when fishing on the flats. That's like an old school trick from Alan Caleo's book, so that's something to think about as well. I don't know if you want to go that far, but I've never personally done it. But I'm also not a flats fishing aficionado, you know. I've done a fair amount of flats fishing off kayaks and off my boat and whatnot, but I'm not a big sight fisherman in general. I would like to do more of it, but I'm just going to tie a couple rubber legs on here just to give it some action. Do mole crabs or sand fleas even have a bunch of rubber legs like this? Not necessarily, but they do on the bottom, but we're just going to make it look buggy, because when I picture a sand flea, I picture buggy. Alright, so now we can start doing some V-ties and whatnot. So, I guess I can either use ram's wool. Now, ram's wool is going to be pretty buoyant. We'll use some of this rust-colored EP fiber. What I'm going to do is we're going to take some tan. Actually, I have some pre-blended tan here. I wonder if it's long enough. I think it is. Oh, this is actually a dubbing brush. I didn't even realize that was a dubbing brush. Nice. Oh, these are all dubbing brushes. I forgot those are all dubbing brushes I've made. We don't want to use those at the moment. Could always use one at the end. We have some loose EP fiber here that I believe I blended. Yeah, it is blended with some different colors. And we're going to do what's called V-tying, which, if you've done a fair amount of fly tying, particularly saltwater or streamers, you probably know about V-ties, but what we're going to be doing is tying the material in a way that we're going to be essentially tying it in the shape of a V and folding it back. We're going to start off with the belly, and we're going to be doing our orange for the belly of the fly, because we're trying to imitate that essentially impregnated sand fleas that have eggs on the belly, is what that orange. Oh, might have dropped frames for a sec. Bear with us. Think we're back. We're good. We're good. Mic check. Mic check. Sorry about that. All right, let's get back to this. Tie some tan on top. Now we are going to be trimming all this once it's all said and done, so if it looks like a lot. Man, that hook is sharp. You gotta watch out. That shrimp hook is, whew. is actually quite sharp. I'm gonna try not to cut myself on that. I want to make sure I tie those back essentially the same distance. So I'll actually do another one here. Could probably even trim this a little shorter. But we'll trim it once we get done with it, so no worries about it. It is quite windy out there. Man, that hook is so sharp. We back? All right. That's good, Doc. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, it might actually have something to do with, I can't tell if that might just be my service every once in a while. So no worries. Okay, now we'll move up again. I wouldn't be surprised you could just get away with this by just tying a dubbing brush, honestly. With tan and little bits of orange mixed in. It'd probably look just as good. I actually need to move this thread. Yeah, maybe this isn't the right hook for this. Or we're experimenting, you gotta try. Can't do the same old thing every time. With the V-tie, you tie it on one side, and you kind of have it facing a diagonal, and then you fold it back and you tie on top of it. Trying to navigate that hook there is pretty tough. Alright. Yeah, I think a regular big game hook would be more suited for this. See, I would like to keep these ties closer together so that way we have less of a gap in between our V-ties, ideally. Yeah, so the downside of this hook is the hook point is bent towards the shank, so you end up losing working area when you're fly tying. So for this sort of what I'm doing, I probably should have kept it around the hook point, but I was curious about going along with the bend, so we're trying something different. You can see how just wrapping and Palmer and Marabou is probably a much easier fly than this, but how would you fish this sort of fly? So what you do is you would either have a floating line or some sort of intermediate line. And in the surf up here, there's holes, there's little drop-offs or troughs, they call them in the surf. And what happens is, as the waves wash up, you know, the surf happens, it churns up the sand on the beach, and then the sand fleas get washed down as the wave recedes. And there's generally a little, as I say that, stab my finger in the hook. There's a little trench that is down at the bottom of the water there. Generally, as the water recedes in, there's like a little trench, and sometimes there's little then channels that go out of those trenches. And what happens is the sand fleas get washed into those, and the striped bass come in with the water, and they come into those trenches and they eat all the sand fleas as they wash down, and then the striped bass turn around and they go back out through those trenches out into deeper water. So they come in with the tide. They know what's going on. It's essentially like a buffet that's happening. So what you would do is you would either have a floating or intermediate line, probably a nice lawn leader, semi-lawn with fluorocarbon. And what you could do is you can cast this parallel to the beach with a floating line. And you can actually have it tumble down into the surf and into the trenches and keep it tight. And you'll feel the line connect. Or what you can do is you can cast it out into these trenches, and you can kind of have it swing as you're facing the beach. Let's say you're facing the beach head on. So instead of facing it sideways and casting and having it literally wash down with the wave, you can face out normally as you would fish, and you can cast it out, and the waves move side to side a lot of times. So they'll move east to west or north to south depending on your direction, right? and the waves will move down the beach. So you can cast, and as the waves come at an angle, they're going to sweep that fly down into a trench. So you just kind of drift it in there and tap it, or you can kind of, strip it every once in a while so it has that jigging motion. But a lot of times you want it just tumbling on the bottom and kind of drifting down into a trench. So there's multiple ways you can do it, but that's kind of a basic explanation on how you fish sand fleas. So there's some literature and stuff on it, and there's probably some good videos out there. Maybe we can try and capture it this year, go out. One of the problems is when you try and do this, there's a lot of people on the beach. So you kind of have to go out early and do it early before everyone's out on the beach drinking beers and stuff or whatever they're doing. You don't want to backcast and hook some lady walking with her Starbucks in her hand, so. Because people will look at you like, what is this guy doing? A beach full of people watching me fish sand flea flies. You get out early, you go do it early. It's generally in like June, July, even August in the summer, right on the beach, so. It's pretty fun. You can actually go down the beach, do some swimming, and then do some sand flea fishing. Or do some sand flea fishing, and then set up a towel and hang out and go swimming. Try not to get bit by a bull shark. It's crazy. Last year, I think more people were bit by sharks than in quite a while up here. I think we're just getting warmer weather. We're having more tropical species and more fish and sharks and stuff and dolphins coming up in the Gulf Stream, so it's just more regular. That's why I want to get my boat going. We can do some shark fly fishing. That was so much fun. It was one of my favorite things I've ever streamed. You've been fishing worm flies? Very nice, Gabe. What have you been fishing for? Are we talking about for stripers? Are you doing freshwater? Or are you doing like cinder worm sort of flies? Let me just kind of keep these in the package. We'll go with a little bit more orange here on the belly. Stripers, nice. Okay, very cool. What sort of worm flies are we talking about? Get some more tan here. Too much material going on. Let's put some of this away. Cinderworms, very nice. Yeah, we should have some cinderworm hatches happening. I think it was late April last year, 2 years ago, or it was May that we fished a cinderworm hatch on Twitch, and it was unbelievable. It was some of the best striper fishing I've ever had. I was like 10 to 15 feet back in the grass, and I was laying my fly line down like it's a video in like Patagonia or Chile. You know what I'm talking about? Where they're dropping they're fly fishing those little holes out in like the marsh or out in the sod banks or whatever they have out there. And I was like laying the fly line in the grass, and my leader was sticking out, and I had a teeny little gurgler cinderworm fly, the fly that I usually fish, and I ripped the rabbit in half because it was like they weren't eating it, so I made it really small, and I would just twitch it, and boom, they were smashing it. It was so cool. It was like I was fishing for trout, but it was striped bass. It was so awesome. It was probably the best cinderworm fishing I've ever had, because I've had a lot of experience with cinderworm fishing where they're very finicky, and I really have a hard time getting them to eat. But that's cinderworm fishing. It's always not, sometimes certain worms and whatnot, or the pond. I've had some really good days out there, and I've had some days where I just couldn't catch one for the life of me. Sometimes I would have to switch to like a Bob's Banner and just annoy one to finally eat or something. Yeah, the gurglers are my favorite. We actually tied an articulated one. It's so nice, but the problem is what I've found over the years is you honestly don't want them to be that big. You want them to be small. Because we don't really have, at least the species of worms that I see a lot of times are pretty small out here. I know there's multiple types of species. They're not all cinder worms. That's kind of like a broad term we use. But, I mean, you should see some of the stuff that we dig up clamming. Some of the worms. It's like something out of the movie Alien or something. Some crazy stuff. Alright. So now what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to trim this. I do want to add more material on top, but I'm almost tempted to just... well, let's just go ahead and do it. I'm good on the bottom right now. I don't want to tie anything in front of the clouds or eyes. It always kind of messes with it, in my opinion. Actually add a little bit more here. Just a little bit more tan on top. Because we are going to trim all this like I said. Again, it looks like a lot. It is a lot. But now we're going to work at it with the scissors. Is anyone doing some fishing this weekend? That's the real question. Put all this away. Now we can get my little basket here. Turn this around and trim this. You are nice. Very cool. I've yet to catch anything this year. We had our first bite the other day. So unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to live stream to both YouTube and Twitch for IRL fishing. So if you want to check that out, you're going to have to go to Twitch. But we've done 3 fishing streams so far. And not yesterday, but a couple days before that, we actually had our first indication that there's actually fish down at the creek near me. And we had a bite, probably a striped bass. So could have been a shad, but more than likely a striper from how it felt. So maybe not a very big one, but that being said, there is fish around, so now I'm even more motivated to get out there and catch something. So I'm trimming the belly first. I want this to be pretty, I don't want there to be a lot of material because I want this hook to flip over easily. But I want that orange belly for that fly, so. And at the end, we'll compare this fly to a photo of a sand flea, which I haven't looked at. I'm just going off memory here from, I mean, we just saw it in Bob Popovich's book, I guess, so. But we'll try and compare it and see. So now, what I want to do is I want to trim all this stuff right here. I'm going to pull this up, pull it out. Like so. And now we're going to try and essentially trim it, imagining the shell of this mole crab. So I'm going to angle my scissors outwards a little because I don't want to trim too much of it. So I'm trying to leave almost like a dome-like shape at the top, if you will. And a little bit of roundness to it on the sides. Hopefully not cutting off my rubber legs as well. It's one of the reasons why you need to tie enough material on there, because otherwise you'll see the thread wraps and stuff like that once you trim it. So I'm just angling my scissors, and then I'm actually I'm trying to simulate how it's kind of like a dome shape and how it peaks at the center of the shell. So I am trying to keep this middle section higher and trim down on either side. Going down to the sod banks here, yep. Yeah, I fish the same. I pretty much fish, it's a sod bank, walled, as well as bulkheads, but a saltwater pond that dumps out into a bay, that dumps out into a larger bay, that dumps out into the Atlantic Ocean. So those salt ponds and those creeks and stuff warm up a lot earlier in the year, so perfect place to fish a shrimp or a worm fly, that's for sure, though. Meanwhile, I always find myself throwing big bucktail deceivers. I'm a sucker for big flies early in the year. They work. I don't know why, but there is osprey picking up bunker and herring in the pond, so there's definitely big enough bait around. And these flies aren't necessarily too large for a 27-inch bass, which we do catch early in the year. We get a lot of 25s, 26s. Not a lot of smaller fish early, and then the smaller fish seem to show up. I'm going to trim this orange down a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. Just like that, we have a nice sand flea fly. You can see what it looks like from the top. You can always pull back a little bit of this marabou, trim it back a little bit. And then from the belly here, we have some orange, nice kind of bright orange for the belly of the fly. And ideally, the eyes would be bright orange. But I don't have any bright orange. They do make bright orange fluorescent eyes. And the reason is because the belly of these sand fleas are bright orange. So, oh, unfortunately, I don't have my screen capture set up. Let me pull up a photo of a sand flea on my phone and show it to you. Mole crabs. Here's a good photo. Oh, God. What the fuck? Don't look up mole crabs. Jesus, sand fleas. There's like photos of them in like people's feet. Thank God we don't have that here. But, geez. Specifically hollow flies and the Sadati Slammer you have on your channel. Very nice, Gapes. Is that what you're going to be fishing? So, this is what the sand flea looks like. You could see from the top, like this tannish color. They're essentially a round, like bulbous looking thing. But a lot of times they do have, I was looking for photos with orange on the bellies. They have these bright orange bellies. But I'm not going to look anymore because I'm seeing photos of them in people's skin, and no, I'm good. They don't really always have that much orange, but I like to exaggerate the colors so it shows like a impregnated sand flea rolling down into the trenches. Very nice. All right. Nice. We did a 2-hour stream. We had a couple drops here and there, it seems like. But it seems like our Restream software is working pretty good. So shout out to Restream for actually having a free option that works pretty good. So very cool. I'm happy that it seems like we got this figured out and working good. Very nice. All right. I think we are probably going to wrap it up. We will, what's today? Today's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday. Perhaps we'll do some fly tying tomorrow. We'll do a stream as well. I think the weather is still going to be crappy here for a couple days, so I would like to do some fishing, but I don't know. Again, unfortunately, I can't multi-stream the fishing. I will have to figure that out in the future if I can or not. But, what do you call it? What was I going to say? So you have to check that out on Twitch. But if you haven't checked out check out the herring fly tying video we have up, the micro surf candy video. I'm going to have to film here probably. Maybe tomorrow I'll have to film for the next video. I kind of want to do a flex candy, but we just did a surf candy video. So maybe we'll do a bucktail hollow or something like that. I don't know. Oh, it looks like you had one of your messages. We got to figure out the, what do you call it? The moderation as well. on. Hopefully it's not spamming or checking too many of your messages there, Gabe. Sorry about that. I just noticed that. But anyways, appreciate it. Here, let me back this up so you folks can actually see my face for a second before we head out. Appreciate you hanging out. And essentially, this is our first legit YouTube and Twitch multi-stream. So yesterday was kind of a failed attempt, but we've kind of, I believe, finally figured it out. So I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us. I have commercial fly tying to do. I'll probably do that later tonight, but I need to go to my buddy's house. We're going to have session 0. There he is. Oh, we got Rev, by the way. Looks good. All right, good. I'm glad, Rev. Yeah, it seems like we got it figured out. And I'm able to stream at a somewhat decent resolution. Let me get this actual focus there. Now we really got the focus. That was you? Okay, got you, Gabe. No worries. Hey, Rev. Yeah, so actually, I got to go to my buddy Rev house, and we're going to be, later on, we're going to be doing a session 0 for our new campaign of Savage Worlds that I'm going to be running. So, it should be interesting. So we're going to kind of figure out what's going on, get everybody's characters possibly set up, and kind of just go over. I don't even necessarily know what I'm doing as well. I thought we were... But that's where I thrive in the Game Master world, is spontaneity. See, I remembered a cool word. That's the word of the day, chat. Spontaneity. All right? Try and use it once. All right. Appreciate everyone hanging out. I hope you have an awesome weekend. And until next time, we'll see you on the next stream, all right? If you haven't, I'm going to have this set up for YouTube in particular. We need to have commands, and I got to set up Nightbot. But we do have a Discord. If you do have Discord, we have a Discord where people share all their fishing photos, and it's all fly fishing orientated, as you could tell from doing fly fishing streams. So if you want, check out our Discord. You can always head over to Twitch and type !Discord in the chat, even if I'm not streaming, and that'll have a link. Or there'll be a link in the page there. So I need to set that up. Maybe I'll put a link in the future on the live streams for YouTube. But is that when you fish off a pontoon boat? Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. So appreciate it. Thank you so much for hanging out. And if you want, you can go check out the Discord. I'll get that link set up at some point and get Nightbot set up. But thank you for hanging out. Everybody on YouTube, thank you for hanging out. Everybody on Twitch, thank you for hanging out. Again, Bujika, thank you for the resub with the tier 1 for, what was it, 46 months. Again, appreciate it. Thank you for the support, my friend. And thank you for everybody tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting as well. I'll see you folks next time, all right? You take it easy. Until the next stream, all right?